Good day, and welcome to this special edition of Spotlight we're calling GM's Corner, a regular series of short conversations with LMOA's General Manager Steve Hurwitz about what's on his desk and what's on his mind. Well, welcome to December, Mr. General Manager. Getting lovely and brisk out there. Gather what's on your mind this week is kind of very heavily the property inspections and the ECC. I gather, obviously, there's been a lot of community discussion in recent months and couple of long pieces and lake views describing process, et cetera, et cetera. What was like a basic question? Why do we have these inspections anyway?
Ron, it's a great question. And as we draw close to the end of the year, we are concluding what was scheduled, and we are on schedule to complete review of the entire community, every home and lot. And so, why is it important? Why is it a big subject? And why are people talking about it? Well, the answer to all that is that it's natural. In a community our size, it's very important to have a program to fulfill the HOA's responsibility to assist homeowners in maintaining the look, appearance, and maintenance of their homes and lots. And that is HOA's responsibility in the governing documents. So we have a staff that's been dedicated to do that. We have, in recent times, beefed up the staff to increase the capability to do that to make sure we in fact could. So a lot of the homes and lots are getting the kind of look they might not have gotten in the past, but it is very important. So naturally, when you do that, there are going to be uh, things discovered that may have been kind of passe, acceptable, or the norm in the past that really are against the rules. And in most people's opinion, or I'd say in many people's opinion, as well as according to the standards that we have, are in fact violations. So we need a system that can handle large numbers. We're talking about thousands of homes,
Hmm.
and handle it in a professional way where there's clarity about what's being pointed to, what's being asked to correct it. But I hope we can talk more about the process
Mm-hmm.
and how people's rights are protected and the options people have about many aspects of the program. I will say this: I think the staff has done a great job in getting this done, which we're very close to. We will finish all 12 sections this year as scheduled. And again, I think the staff's done a great job. They've really put their nose to the grindstone, worked very hard, and I'm very proud of what they've gotten done.
Some people say, well, hey, my neighbor got the exact same letter. I mean, are we both in violation, or is it dissimilar, or what's going on there?
Well, that's another good question, as are many of the questions that have been raised. So, inspecting as many homes as we are, first of all, we work towards the standard of a standard. So a violation in one place ought to be the same violation in an adjacent or nearby home or any other home. There is a little matter of judgment involved, and I do expect, and I believe that the staff has used excellent judgment in that. So it's possible that as a homeowner, you'll get a letter for a violation and someone just down the street hasn't. And that could be because they haven't been inspected yet. It could also be that your perception that they haven't received a violation letter is incorrect. Maybe they did. What's also true is when people get a notice of violation, they have several options. One of them is to correct the situation. And not everybody does it immediately or as quickly as you might like. So if someone gets a letter and they wonder why their neighbor appears to have the same condition,
Hmm.
maybe going uncorrected, it could be because they haven't been inspected yet, but will soon, or it could be that they just haven't corrected it yet and maybe are even reluctant to do that, which gets into another part of the process.
Yeah.
But in terms of fairness, that's an absolute built-in part of the program and the standard that we hold ourselves to.
As you mentioned, we now have 4,200 plus homes. That's an awful lot of territory to cover. What kind of battle plan was there to make this happen within a year?
Well, there were several ways to go about it. In the old days, we just didn't have enough manpower. The
Mm.
ECC uh, was always has worked very hard, but was limited. Number one, volunteers. They were volunteers. Number two, their time was limited to do that. So after we beefed up the staff and took a look at how we could possibly cover the entire community without it stretching out for decades, we decided to attempt to go through the entire community this year of 2019. And it seemed like the most direct way to do that was to go through the 12 sections, which match up with the 12 months. And we've been able to hold to that schedule. There were times, due to the volume of work involved, the number of letters that did result from the inspections, that we fell a little behind, but the staff has picked itself up and push through, and will complete all of it. It does generate a huge amount of letters and follow-up communications of all sorts, follow-up inspections. Again, it is a very big job.
Yeah, well, up to the nitty gritty. Okay, I've received a violation letter of whatever on my property. Um, okay, what are my options? What do I do now?
First is to take a look at the letter and see what it's asking for. Make sure you understand. Uh, we have to use language that is legally precise, and sometimes that's not the simplest way to put things. But if you read it and then take a look at the reference that's on the back of the letter, and then even if you follow up by going online and looking at the policies that pertain, you might find a better definition if you think you need it. Most of the cases I've reviewed, in fact, the greatest percent, the lion's share of them, are very clear about what's being asked for. So first thing would be to come into compliance, if at all possible. If you do have a question, the letter itself asks you to ask the question of the ECC staff, and I recommend email if that's at all possible.
Mm-hmm.
At the volume we're talking about, it's certainly a challenge for the staff to answer uh, many phone calls, which sometimes can take a while. But that's also available. That is, I think email is the best to ECC. If not, a phone call, and we'll endeavor to get you an answer to refine it. There's another aspect to this. Sometimes some things can't be done immediately due to circumstances in that household or the weather or what have you. And the ECC is glad to consider an extension where that's appropriate. And that's a judgment call on their part. I think they've done very well with that. I don't know of any cases where an extension was a request for an extension was denied.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another option. The worst option is to ignore it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not do that. And then you go through a whole process. Largely, compliance has been pretty magnificent. A very high percentage of homeowners getting those letters. Just go ahead and do what's required, and continue to do that in the future. So that's very gratifying, and I think reflects well on the ECC staff, the ECC committee, the staff, and our community.
Yeah. Well, let's say we're loggerheads. I've done those things and still absolutely disagree. Maybe it's something involving I don't know, setback or what I'd call a pre-existing condition, etc. There are other things. I may make my case to the compliance committee, which is made up of former members of the LMOA board of directors. Before them, if my case gets referred to them as a continuing violation, they're sort of a jury. I can make my case to them, may I not, and then on even to the Supreme Court, if you will, the board of directors itself, if I still feel I'm, being had.
Those are very important aspects of the program, and they're kind of the pressure relief valves. So if the ECC and the staff is firm in their opinion, which is contrary to the homeowners about something, there can be an appeal. It would go to compliance. The compliance committee is the body that would look at what's there, and if there are any charges or penalties involved in the lack of compliance, it's up to them to make that first determination and apply such measures. Likewise, they're more than open to, it's a hearing where somebody can write to them, show up at the meeting and make their case. And I do recommend showing up. That's always very persuasive, because then questions can be asked and answered. The compliance committee is, as you pointed out, kind of our senior volunteer leader emeritus group, extremely experienced people who put in lots of time into the community as a past and therefore are qualified for that committee. It's a lot of responsibility and they take it very seriously. So that's another option. Then, if by chance that doesn't work out the way the homeowner wished, there's always an appeal to the board. And we have had those
I've
cases.
seen it happen. Oh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, though, most of the cases that go forward to the board usually involve waivers requested by the bureaucracy, if you will, that we've just discussed. And the board puts its heart and soul into reading those cases and determining if a recommendation for a waiver is appropriate. So the board can judge either way, but they certainly are authorized and have used that responsibility to grant waivers where appropriate based on specific circumstances concerning an individual lot.
Yeah, a lot of times this is, again, I'll call it the pre-existing condition, maybe a shed that was built years ago or something, and time grandfathered in effect, even legally. Some of those waivers, I know from watching board meetings and the like over the years, have indeed been granted. You ask people not to take it out on the staff. You know, don't kill the messenger. The old line.
That's an important point. The staff is faithfully following the rules and procedures, which are the ultimate protection for everybody involved. And what I'd ask people to do is, again, not blame the messenger. I keep track of what's going on. Carol Kavanaugh, who is our ECC manager, administrator, has been doing this job for a long time, and she is very keen to make sure that the rules are followed, protecting everybody's interest, particularly the homeowner. So when the staff is either issuing a letter or following up, as is deemed appropriate, they are in fact doing their level best with a great deal of effort and understanding behind it. In fact, as I mentioned before, being able to inspect this number of homes in a period of a year with the staff we have is quite extraordinary. I've never seen it done as efficiently and effectively as we can, and a real highlight of that is there's software that we had not previously had going back several years. You can buy it for $10,000 or $15,000. There's several commercial versions of software for ECC violations. We didn't do that. One of the staff members developed from raw spreadsheet almost exactly the same functionality. So there was, in fact, a savings of between $10,000 and $15,000 that enabled us to get through, as we now know we will, to get through the entire community within a year. So we can move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I give a lot of credit where it's due to the staff that's done a terrific job there.
Yeah. And other than basically challenging things and the like procedurally, what if someone has a problem with the rule itself under which they've been charged? What can they do?
Well, we are a community of rules. We're rules-based, and so there's an option if someone disagrees with a rule, and an example would be the trash and recycling toters.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people feel that the rules are where they've had their totes for years is okay, but if it's a violation of the rules, then the staff is obligated to point that out in terms of a violation letter. But if someone disagrees with the rule itself, there are a number of options and ways to do that. Again, rather than maybe blaming the staff, which I think is exercising great common sense time and time again. Every case I review, the staff has been very thoughtful. But still, as an owner, there's an option to present a case. And what I would do if I disagreed with a rule, I would draft a change. You know, what is it about the rule? Because I don't have the option personally, nor does the board have the option of picking and choosing which rules to apply or which to ignore. That's not an option for the elected volunteer leadership or the staff. We are obligated to follow the rules and apply them the best we can. So there is an opportunity to critique, even draft an amendment or a change to the rule. I think that's a pretty productive means of people to interact with the system.
Where does someone find the language of the rule itself?
Well, the the rules are in policies.
The policy manual?
Policy
Okay.
manual. There's policy 13.03, which has most of this, and it actually reads pretty clearly. Uh, in most cases. On the other hand, if someone thinks that some of the terminology is either misapplied or should be expanded, there is an opportunity for members of the community to draft that and submit it. They can send it to me directly. They can send it to the board. They can send it to the ECC itself. And so there are all kinds of opportunities. We're very open
Mm-hmm.
uh, to that kind of thing. And that would probably be, uh, I feel, the most productive way to approach a question of, is the rule being applied correctly? Has it been misinterpreted? Should it be clearer? Should it be expanded or changed?
Mm-hmm. And you feel the program has had positive effect?
Well, there's graphic evidence. It's not scientifically proven, but real estate values are up more than 11% year over year. Sales prices in our community, again, more than 11%. Other real estate indicators are that number of days on the market have gone down, and the percentage of the asking price that results in the final sales price is up 1.5%. So for the average homeowner, we're talking about $3,000 or $4,000 improvement in the sales price. We're talking about a value going up 11%, which far exceeds the local community. Can we attribute that to this program? It's hard to say, again, scientifically. Yes, that's absolutely true, but I do know that I've heard from people in the real estate business that Lake Monticello is a hot commodity, and that people like the amenities here, whether they personally plan to use them or not,
Mm-hmm.
and that a lot of people have. I have personally heard from a number of people that they see a significant difference in the appearance of the community, uh, probably due to this effort.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something worth thinking about as an important product of what we've been doing.
All right. Well, let's skip for a moment to events this weekend, the Festival of the Trees.
Wonderful new event, and very exciting. It's going to be big, really big, and it starts Thursday. Connected to it is the Lake Monticello Beautification Corps dinner dance this Thursday. Tickets are still available at the pub and at the front desk at Ashlawn. And then on Friday and Saturday, we have events. It's being well publicized through various media, including email blasts. And we encourage people to plan to come. It's going to be really big, uh, including cookies with Santa uh,
Okay.
this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. and then Saturday morning from 10 to noon, 10 a.m. to noon
All right. That's going to be over at Aswan?
at Ashlawn.
Yeah, okay. All
And
right.
cookies with Santa is a wonderful thing. We had well more than 200 children go through last year, and we're going to break that record this year.
All righty. And finally, you sent out a blast that the lake has hired, or I can say maybe rehired, Gwen Antisberger, who returns here to a position as communications manager and resident services manager, thus preceding and succeeding Judy Fish, who has resigned. And the man's on call once again here,
Uh,
showing his duties. His duties continue; they never end. So welcome back, Gwen.
yes, indeed. And Gwen has big shoes to fill. Fortunately, Gwen is very well prepared to do that. First of all, we had a very long list of very highly qualified candidates. The interviews were kind of really gave me pause for thought of the number of people and the kind of skills that they would like to bring to bear to help the community. That was very encouraging. It was a difficult choice, but we had Gwen, who has been in that position before, and before and since has done even more with the kind of things that we're looking for to fill the very big shoes that have to be filled. Judy Fish has vacated the position, and that's going to be a lot of work to make sure we're
Mm-hmm.
doing the same kind of things and doing them as well as was done before. And Gwen is very well prepared for that. She started She started and is already digging in and
Okay.
getting going. I'm very pleased that the Lakeview is a very important product for many, many people. Uh, we didn't skip a beat.
Mm-hmm.
The all the issues are being published on schedule, and that's a testament to the work Judy did as she was
Yeah.
leaving, and then Gwen's work when she started,
Okay.
which I'm very pleased with.
All right. Well, terrific. Okay. Well, full morning. Thank you. I know you have other things to get back to. You have been watching GM's Corner, one of our semi-monthly conversations with Lake Monticello's General Manager, Steve Hurwitz. We hope you'll join us again for more of these corners and also for the full range of broadcasting up here on your favorite Channel 977, brought to you by LMOA's broadcast group. So for the group, and until we see you again, thanks very much for watching. I'm Ron Krause. Good day.